The biting wind whipped through the city streets, a symphony of urban indifference. The cold air seemed to penetrate every corner, every crevice, leaving no place untouched by its icy fingers. It was a harsh reminder of the season's unforgiving nature, a stark contrast to the warmth and comfort found indoors. A lone figure huddled on the sidewalk, his threadbare coat offering little solace. The fabric, worn thin by countless nights exposed to the elements, did little to shield him from the relentless chill. His body shivered uncontrollably, a testament to the cold that had seeped into his very bones. His name was David, though most just saw him as another homeless man. To the passers-by, he was just another face in the crowd, another statistic in the city's growing homeless population. But David had a story, a past filled with both joy and sorrow, triumphs and failures. He clutched a worn cardboard sign, his plea for help lost in the cacophony of the city. The words, hastily scrawled in black marker, were a desperate cry for assistance, a hope that someone, anyone, would take notice and offer a helping hand. People rushed by, their faces etched with a familiar blend of pity and avoidance. They moved with purpose, their minds occupied with their own lives, their own problems. To them, David was an inconvenience, a reminder of the harsh realities they preferred to ignore. David watched the endless stream of humanity, each face a fleeting moment of hope and despair. He searched for a glimmer of compassion, a sign that someone might stop and acknowledge his existence. But the faces blurred together, a sea of indifference that washed over him. Some pretended not to see him, their eyes darting away, seeking refuge in the anonymity of the crowd. They hurried past, their footsteps echoing in the cold air, leaving David to his solitude. The city, for all its grandeur, felt colder than ever. The towering buildings, the bustling streets, all seemed to amplify the sense of isolation and loneliness that permeated the air. David felt invisible, forgotten, a ghost haunting the periphery of their lives. He was a shadow, a fleeting presence that went unnoticed by the world around him. He closed his eyes, the sting of tears a familiar ache. The tears, warm against his cold skin, were a reminder of his humanity, a silent testament to the pain and longing that filled his heart. A young woman, her face buried in her phone, sidestepped David without a glance. Her headphones canceled out the world, creating a bubble of indifference. A businessman in a sleek suit hurried past, his eyes fixed on some distant goal. Time was money, and compassion was a luxury he couldn't afford. A group of teenagers laughed, their joy a stark contrast to David's despair. They saw him, acknowledged him with a fleeting glance, but their laughter continued, unbroken. They had their own lives, their own problems, and David's plight seemed a world away. Each act of indifference, each averted gaze, chipped away at David's spirit. He felt the weight of their judgment, the silent condemnation of their indifference. But amidst the sea of indifference, there were flickers of hope. In a world that often seemed cold and unfeeling, these small moments of kindness stood out like beacons of light. They were reminders that compassion still existed, even in the most unexpected places. An elderly woman, her face etched with the wisdom of years, stopped. Her eyes scanned the crowd, searching for someone in need. She had seen much in her lifetime, and her heart was still open to the suffering of others. She rummaged through her purse and pressed a few crumpled dollar bills into David's hand. It wasn't much, but it was given with a generosity that transcended the monetary value. Her eyes, filled with a quiet empathy, met his. In that brief moment, a connection was made, a silent understanding passed between them. "God bless you," she whispered, her voice a balm to his wounded soul. Her words carried a warmth that David hadn't felt in a long time. A young couple, their hands intertwined, paused. They noticed David and felt a pang of empathy. They knew what it was like to struggle, to feel alone in a crowd. They didn't have much, but they shared what they had. Their small offering was a gesture of solidarity, a way to show that they cared. A granola bar, an apple, a bottle of water. Simple items, but in that moment they meant the world to David. small acts of kindness offered with genuine compassion. These gestures, though seemingly insignificant, had a profound impact on David's spirit. These moments, though fleeting, were enough to sustain David. They gave him the strength to keep going, to believe that better days were possible. They reminded him that even in the heart of the city, humanity still flickered. Amidst the hustle and bustle, there were still those who cared, who reached out to help. These acts of kindness, however small, were a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit. They showed that no matter how dark the world might seem, there was always a glimmer of hope in the shadows. Why do some people reach out while others turn away? This question has puzzled scientists and psychologists for years. Understanding the underlying mechanisms can help us foster a more compassionate society. Research suggests that empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of others, plays a crucial role. Empathy is not just an emotional response, but a complex psychological process that involves both cognitive and emotional components. Brain imaging studies have shown that when we witness someone in distress, the same areas of our brain associated with pain and suffering are activated, creating a visceral connection. This neural mirroring helps us feel what others are experiencing, making their pain our own. However, empathy alone is not always enough to spark action. Sometimes, despite feeling empathy, people hesitate or choose not to help. Factors like perceived social norms, fear of embarrassment, and diffusion of responsibility can all influence our decision to help or walk away. Social norms dictate what is considered appropriate behavior, and fear of standing out can prevent us from taking action. Understanding these psychological barriers is crucial to fostering a more compassionate society. By recognizing what holds us back, we can work towards overcoming these obstacles. By addressing the social and emotional factors that hinder our capacity for kindness, we can create a world where helping others becomes the norm, not the exception. Encouraging empathy and compassion in our communities can lead to a more connected and supportive society. The tragic murder of Kitty Genovese in 1964 brought the bystander effect to the forefront of social psychology. Despite numerous witnesses to the crime, no one intervened. This chilling example highlights the dangerous power of diffusion of responsibility. When multiple people are present, the responsibility to act becomes diluted, leading to inaction. We often assume that someone else will help, absolving ourselves of the responsibility to intervene. This "someone else will do it" mentality can have devastating consequences, perpetuating a culture of apathy and indifference. Breaking free from the bystander effect requires a conscious effort to cultivate a sense of personal responsibility. We must challenge the assumption that someone else will act and embrace our own capacity to make a difference. Section 6. Real-life heroes, beacons of empathy. The world is filled with everyday heroes who defy the bystander effect. These are individuals who, without hesitation, step forward to help those in need, reminding us of the inherent goodness that resides within humanity. We've all seen the news stories. The stranger who jumps onto subway tracks to save a fallen commuter, the passerby who performs CPR on a collapsed individual, the community that rallies around a family who has lost everything in a fire. These acts of courage and compassion, often performed by ordinary people, serve as a beacon of hope, reminding us that we are all capable of extraordinary kindness. Section 7. The ripple effect of kindness. Kindness is not a finite resource. It multiplies with every act, creating a ripple effect that extends far beyond the initial act. When we witness acts of compassion, it inspires us to do the same, creating a virtuous cycle of empathy and generosity. Studies have shown that witnessing acts of kindness releases oxytocin, a hormone associated with happiness and social bonding. This helper's high not only benefits the recipient, but also the giver, creating a positive feedback loop that strengthens social connections and promotes well-being. By embracing small acts of kindness in our daily lives, we become agents of change, contributing to a more compassionate and interconnected world. Section 8. Cultivating Compassion, a Call to Action. In a world often consumed by self-interest and indifference, choosing compassion can feel like a radical act. But it doesn't have to be a grand gesture. It's the small, everyday choices that have the power to transform our lives and the lives of those around us. Start by practicing active listening. Put down your phone, make eye contact, and truly hear what others have to say. Offer a helping hand without expecting anything in return. Volunteer your time to a cause you believe in. Donate to organizations working to make a difference. These seemingly small acts of kindness can have a profound impact, reminding us of our shared humanity and our interconnectedness. Section 9. Choosing love over apathy. The choice is ours. We can choose to be bystanders in the face of suffering, or we can choose to be upstanders, embracing our capacity for empathy and action. It's time to reclaim our humanity, to rediscover the power of compassion and kindness. Let us create a world where indifference is replaced with empathy, where apathy is challenged by action, and where love triumphs over fear. The time for change is now. Let's choose love.